Hi guys, I'm Charlie, your Charlie book fanatic, and this is a very late April wrap-up. And with late, I mean like a month late. Anyway, I'm looking at the books I've read in April, and I'm like, did I read that in April? Did I read it a month ago? Like, I barely remember some of these, but I'll make do. I actually managed to read 8 books in April, which normally isn't a lot for me, but this past year, it has been the most I've read in a month, I think. Except from January. I still got the first book, which is The Season by Jonah Dyer. This is a book about a girl who is participating in a debutante season because her mom wants her to. And this was just a very cute story. This girl is all into soccer, but she really doesn't want to participate in the debutante season. She's from the south of North America, and obviously the debutantes are completely are a huge thing over there. And she really didn't want to participate, but she did it for her mom and her dad because they were struggling quite a bit with money issues and stuff like that. So she wanted to please her mom and participate in this debutante season. And I thought it was a cute story. I rated it 3 stars. I didn't think it was anything special or the best contemporary romance in the history of ever, but I've never read about a debutante season before, and I had a blast with it, to be honest. Second book is Dreamfall, which is the first book in the Dreamful duology by Amy Plum, and this is a YA thriller. I read it as an e-arc, and I rated this one 3.5 stars. I don't read a lot of YA thrillers, but I absolutely love this one. It's about all of these teenagers who suffer from insomnia, and they participate in this experiment to cure their insomnia with electroconvulsive therapy. And then the system shuts down and they all go into a coma and end up in each other's nightmares and have to survive through that. If they don't, they might even die. It was so intriguing and interesting. Like, I want to know all of these characters' background, and there was a plot twist that I really did not see coming, and that doesn't happen a lot to me anymore in books, so that was a pleasant surprise. The third book I read was one I borrowed from the library, and there's the problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I wasn't planning on reading this, but I saw it at the library and heard some things about it, so I borrowed it. I honestly thought this was going to be a fantasy book, but it's a contemporary romance about a girl who meets a guy who she was in foster care with when she was very young. They haven't seen each other in years, and then she ends up at the same high school as him. She had been homeschooled up until that point, and they start to rebuild their relationship, but not as brother and sister this time, but as boyfriend and girlfriend. I rated it 3 stars. It was a very average reading month for me. I haven't had any 5-star reads so far yet, but this book had quite some problems with it. I thought the subject matter was heavy, but something I was particularly interested in because they had a very abusive foster care home life. But I was particularly annoyed by the main character's foster dad. Like, she has new foster parents after her abusive foster home, and her foster dad really annoyed me. Like, I could not stand it, to be honest. Like, he was so protective of her and so possessive, and he became mad as soon as she said she was even talking to a boy, and I was like, calm the fuck down, she's growing up, she's going to talk to a boy eventually. She was like 16, like, shut the fuck up, Carl. Then a Dutch book I want to mention very quickly, because this is a book, an actual book that I had to read for school, not just law literature, but this is called You Do Have Something to Hide in English, but it's obviously a Dutch book, and this is basically all about privacy and how we think we don't have anything to hide, and everyone may look into our lives, but how much apps on our phone and just companies in general really do know about us is pretty scary. Like, Facebook, for example, knows where you are at any time, at any point, as soon as you download that app onto your phone. And some of the other things they do is quite scary, to be honest. And after reading this book, I was hesitant for a while about the internet and about downloading apps. But obviously I resume my old habits, because it's very hard in this day and age to stop downloading apps and stop participating in social media. And I don't really want to. I honestly don't really care, and I should care more about my privacy. And obviously I do have things to hide, but at this point in my life, I don't know if I really mind if companies look into my life. But this was a very interesting read and taught me a lot of things I didn't know yet. And I was very excited to finally read something else than just law for my law major in university. So I really wanted to talk about this. And I rated it 3 stars. Another book from the library was Lesson Vera by Bret, Easton, Ellis. I've read American Psycho by Bret, Easton, Ellis, and God, that was one of my favorite books ever. So I wanted to read something else by him. This was a very short book, but honestly, this really disappointed me. Lesson Zero is very much like American Psycho, but also completely different. Like, it's obviously less disturbing because American Psycho is about a serial killer and you really get in depth about how he kills these people. But this was just the life of a guy called Clay in the 1980s, and it just followed him being a rich brat and how his friends were just talking about everyone who they had sex with, and then they were like, oh my god, I also had sex with a person, and I was like, oh my god, when does this end? At least it was a short book. I've rated this one only 2 stars. I really did not like this from Bret Easton Ellis. I don't want to give up on this author yet, so I probably will pick up another book by him, but this one was obviously not my favourite. I read the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series, which is also not my favourite, Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. And I rated this one 3 stars, which seems to be a common occurrence in this month and with the Throne of Glass books in general. I love Sarah J. Maas' A Court of Thorns and Roses series, but Throne of Glass is really not my favourite, but I am so far into this series already that I just need to know how it ends. There's only 2 more books. And next book is going to follow Kale, and I'm going to hate my life while reading it because I don't like Kale, but I am not completely sure what to think of this series at this point in time. I don't like any of the couples. The only character I actually like is Manon, and I don't like that she's being paired up with someone right now. Like, everyone is being paired up with someone, and all of the men in this series are so territorial and possessive and jealous. But I am still going to finish this series because I do want to read all of Maas's books, and I want to know what other people are hyping about. So yeah, you are going to hear a lot more from me being tortured. And the last book I read during April was Reality Boy by A.S. King. This again was a very random pick for me because I wanted to read something for Diversity Bingo, I believe. And this was not on my TBR, and I just decided to pick it up, and I hated myself for it. I rated this one 2 stars, and I've read something by A.S. King before, Ask the Passengers, but I cannot for the life of me remember what that was actually about, except for a girl who looked at planes. But Reality Boy was about a guy who was in a reality TV show when he was still a little kid, and he turned out to be a brat and shitting everywhere and being just the nation's laughing stock, basically. Now he's grown up, he's not on this reality show with his family anymore, but he still lives through the repercussions of it and through the repercussions of his shitty childhood. But it's just a book about a guy who is mad all the time, who falls in love with a girl he barely even knows, and then being broody. That is basically what this book is about. It didn't do anything for me. It felt so flat and it didn't have any emotion except it made me feel depressed. I just was like, when does this end? Because I am depressed while reading this book. So yeah, those were all the books I read in April. As you heard just now, I had a shitty reading month. But anyway, at least I read something. That is good, I guess. I got my TBR down with quite a few books. So I am very happy that I managed to read 8 books. I just wish they were better books than they were for me. Anyway, I've read quite a lot in May already, and I can't wait to talk to you about those books soon enough because it is the end of May when I'm filming this and uploading this. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them and what you read in April or May. I would love to know. Thanks for watching. Goodbye!